Good morning, televiewers, and welcome to the very first edition of The Brief live on My Media Prime Television, a program where we get to dig several layers beneath the striking headlines as relayed by the newspapers in Cameroon. On today's edition of the program, we are focusing on the suspension of the Secretary General at the National Assembly. He was suspended over the weekend or on Friday by his boss, Kavayege Dibri, and we shall equally tell you about the continuous detention of the former girlfriend to General No Pity, who was given habeas corpus sometimes back in Boya. That was 45 days ago, but we are told by the newspapers this morning that she is still in the detention. Meantime, let's go find out what the French newspapers have for us this morning with Bomotonguina. Gwladys. Bonjour, Gwladys, et bon début de la semaine.
Merci beaucoup, Lasha. Bon début de la semaine à toi aussi. Bonjour à vous qui nous regardez. Merci de nous retrouver une fois de plus pour Débrief, votre émission bilingue de revue de presse sur My Media Prime et Télévision. Alors, ce matin, nous allons débuter avec le journal Le Reporter Sport qui nous parle des quarts des finales de la Coupe d'Afrique des Nations, Cameroun-Gambie, un match phénoménal. Les détails sont donc en page 12 de ce journal. Nous continuons ce matin avec le journal L'économie, lui qui nous parle de l'évaluation des entreprises camerounaises suivant la commission technique de réhabilitation des entreprises du secteur public et parapublic. Elles ont été classées sur la base de l'ampleur de leurs dettes. Les détails sont donc en page 3 de ce journal. Nous terminons donc ce matin avec le journal L'œil du Sahel, lui qui nous parle des examens officiels au Cameroun, ces textes qui désorganisent le baccalauréat. Les détails sont donc en page 5 de ce journal. Mesdames, Messieurs, c'est tout pour la revue de presse en langue française. Place à la découverte de ces journaux en langue anglaise avec toi, Lasha.
Thank you, Bomotonguina. Gwladys. Let's kickstart this morning with the Lone English Daily, the Guardian Post newspaper. The Guardian Post this morning is telling us on page 5 that 1 month after court ruling granting bail, General No Pity's ex-girlfriend still in detention. Antoinette Console, former girlfriend to Ambazonia separatist warlord General No Pity, the nursing mother, still in detention. The disclosure was made by Barrister Lengenju Vitalis, the human rights lawyer who led the successful habeas corpus submission for the release of incarcerated Antoinette Console. Barrister Lengenju said on Friday that despite the court ruling on Wednesday, December 15, 2021, granting Console bail, she has remained in detention. According to the human rights lawyer, keeping the nursing mother in detention after her family and counsel fulfilled all the requirements for her release is a clear disregard of Cameroonian laws. Let's talk about the celebrated Cameroonian-born biometrics specialist Amahadu Adamu, founder of and CEO of Germany-based Bridge Corporation, who has remained a trailblazer in the world of biometrics. Given his ingenuity and survey a problem-solving, Adamu continues to put the world on the same platform with technological drifts. On page 3 of this edition of the paper, the Speaker of the Lower House of Parliament, Honorable Kavayege Dibri, goes gaga again as he suspends the signature of the Secretary General. According to the paper, the scribe of the National Assembly was suspended Friday in an administrative letter which has since gone viral on the social media. The Speaker, the Right Honorable Kavayege Dibri, did not immediately cite reasons for the suspension of the Secretary General of the legislative body, Honorable Kumba Gaston, but stated that during the period of the suspension, Abdoulaye Daouda, Assistant Secretary General number 1, will manage the affairs of the House until further notice. Meanwhile, Reality Plus reviews 8 reasons why the Secretary General of the National Assembly was suspended by his boss. Amongst the reasons: high treason at the National Assembly, embezzlement, abuse of confidence, power tussle, disrespect of hierarchy, as he refused to see the boss or his boss for over 2 weeks and counting. According to La Réalité newspaper, he refused to see Kavayege Djibri or have a meeting with Kavayege Djibri on his request since 2 weeks ago. The Post newspaper is also interested in the suspension of the Secretary General of the National Assembly, citing power tussle and embezzlement allegations. Let's now talk sports. The paper, in one of its major headlines, reviews how government disrespect or desperate attempt rather to fill stadia politicized AFCON created chaos and insecurity in stadia in host cities. The chairman of the local organizing committee of the 33rd edition of the African Cup of Nations Total Energies 2021 Cameroon, Professor Narcisse Mwele Kombi, on Friday 28 January 2022, presented to the national and international media a number of measures adopted by government and the local organizing committee to curb chaos and enforce security at the stadia during the ongoing African Cup of Nations. However, the measures adopted barely 1 week to the end of the AFCON competitions are considered as belated, as they were adopted after 8 persons had already died at the stampede at the Olembe Stadium in Yaoundé on Monday, January 24, 2022, when Cameroon played against Comoros Islands. The paper is also telling us that former girlfriend to Ambazonia warlord No Pity Baby still in detention 45 days after release order. And on page 8, the paper makes us to understand that Togu Army movement has become a cultural force for national unity. The Horizon shares similar views as to the Post newspaper. According to the paper, at press launch, founder Mabel Boma voiced to give vision a global value. She insists Togu Army movement is a cultural force for solidarity, national unity. She equally announced the launching of the movement for June in Cameroon. The paper also reports that following the Olembe stampede, activists are demanding for $1 million reparations for CAF. And on page 7, the paper reports that the Secretary General of the National Assembly, Kumba Gaston, has been suspended. In one of its front page headlines, the paper writes, "Consternation as Kavayege suspends National Assembly scribe." Thank you for watching, televiewers of My Media Prime. We are back in the studio to continue with our discussions this morning, and we are receiving Kum Leonard to talk more on the suspension of the Secretary General at the National Assembly of Cameroon. Good morning, Kum Leonard, and welcome.
Good morning, Lasha, and good morning to you, Gwladys, and good morning to our televiewers, and I am wishing them a great week ahead.
This is one of the rare moments, rare pleasure to have you on our set. Thank you for coming, for accepting to be part of us this morning.
Yes, it's an honor. It's always great to serve and to talk about issues touching on our national life. I'm very delighted to be here this morning.
Okay, let's begin with this administrative document being relayed to us this morning by several newspapers in the country. We are talking about the suspension of the Secretary General at the National Assembly, citing, administrative, or citing some issues relating to management of funds, especially when close to $1 billion is reported missing, and that was signed by the Secretary General, as we are told. Kum Leonard.
Yes, I saw the document that was made public last week. I read through it, and many things ran through my mind. And I said, finally, are we having heads of institutions in Cameroon who are taking their responsibilities into their hands? Because we would have loved to see other instances, say the Prime Minister, say other ministers who would take upon themselves, the President of the Senate would take upon themselves to take decisions like this, because they have that capacity to sanction, to suspend, and to call for either an audit and take tough action when things are not going right under their jurisdiction. Because the impression we have always had in Cameroon is the fact that orders always have to come from the presidency. But this is...
of course, the president appoints most of them. We have this same issue at the level of the Prime Minister, where the Secretary General sometimes dared some former Prime Ministers to take decisions contrary to
so finally, I told myself that, are we finally saying persons in Cameroon who would take decisions as important as this, because this is coming 3 weeks after this same president of the National Assembly, the Right Honorable Kawayege Jibril, who through another decree created a branch of the National Assembly in the Far North region. Nobody would have thought that it was possible for somebody in Cameroon heading an institution, heading an organ, to take these decisions. But on the other side, I'm also asking myself whether the president of the National Assembly is becoming the more powerful, because 10, 20 years ago, we would not even see him do this. What is happening? What is not going well in Yaoundé?
Est-ce que c'est parce qu'il est devenu plus âgé qu'il réfléchit un peu mieux?
Yeah, there are many things that
courageux,
qu'il est devenu plus courageux parce
he
qu'il
has
est
nothing
plus vieux.
to lose.
Yes, is it the fact that he is going out that he can say, okay, I have nothing to lose
again, yeah.
But is it the fact that he's coming to the realization that he should make use of his past, or the fact that he's going out?
So he should right the wrongs,
yes.
maybe.
So it is, for me, I think it is good. But let the reason for that decision be genuine. If at all we...
There are several documents. There is one talking about the Secretary General who was supposed to sign an amount of money, 3 billion as authorized by the speaker, but he went ahead to sign something 13. I'm hearing of 13. I read 13 billion in one of the newspaper, La Realite newspaper. If the producer can zoom it and put it on the screen, normally he was supposed to sign 3 billion. He went ahead to sign 13, which means that he played a fast one on the speaker.
Yeah, I understand. I know, I've read through what is happening. It has to do with the mismanagement of funds that were allocated at the level of the National Assembly. But what we are saying is that if it is true, genuine, that he tampered with money that was meant for the National Assembly, and that the organigram or the rules governing the National Assembly gives powers to the president to suspend him, I find no fault in that. But if it is an issue of, like we say, there are times where persons are sanctioned because they want to be taken out so that they are replaced with other persons with whom we are more comfortable to working with. Maybe the working relationship between the National Assembly president and this Secretary General has not been good, and maybe the assistant, because
it involves the assistant too.
Yes, that order actually says that the assistant takes office, and who knows about the closeness between the president of the National Assembly and that,
and we can see that they are also from the same region.
From the same region.
And Kum Leonard, is it not also high time that we started, or the administration started thinking of this issue of appointing somebody to go into an institution where the boss is legitimately elected? Like, for example, we are talking about, you see councils in Cameroon. You have people who are appointed at the level of presidency to come and talk to the mayor or take decision or counter certain decisions taken by the mayor.
It comes back to the working relationship and the motives of both the National Assembly president and the Secretary General of the National Assembly.
Why should the presidency, in the first place, appoint a Secretary General at the National Assembly? That's one question.
Yes,
should it not be the prerogative of the Speaker of the lower house of Parliament to think of who should be his Secretary General, not the presidency sending somebody who will be answerable to the presidency and not the Speaker of the National Assembly?
Well, Lasha Kingsley, what you're saying is very right. We say that if what we desire is not available, we perfect what is available. I hope that as we strive towards a better Cameroon, we should be thinking about what you are saying. But as it stands, the Constitution actually gives powers to the President of the Republic to appoint these persons. It now actually is the responsibility of these persons who are appointed to serve the National Assembly and the people of Cameroon to work in the interest of the nation, because in as much as they are appointed by the President of the Republic, I am not sure the President of the Republic tells them, go and start fighting the mayor for the case of the Secretary Generals at the respective municipalities in Cameroon, or the case of the Secretary General of the National Assembly. I'm not sure that the President tells them that since I am appointing you, go and start fighting the national, because for the National Assembly, it is the President of the National Assembly is from the CPDM party. The Secretary General is from the CPDM party. So what are you people fighting against? If you both are working or are from the same party, and the President of the Republic, His Excellency President Paul Biya, is the national chairman of
that party,
the CPDM party. So what are you people fighting for? You are appointed to go and serve the people of Cameroon through the position of the Secretary General. So
and also La Réalité newspaper did raise this issue. The paper told us that the speaker has been asking to see the Secretary General for 2 weeks now. He has refused to go. Your boss asked you to have a meeting with him. You refuse to go for 2 weeks. That's where many Cameroonians, they get confused that an institution that is in charge of making laws, and you have somebody working in that same institution and is behaving that way. How should Cameroonians then now respect the laws that they said institutions they're making?
Yeah, but then this should not be news. Lasha Kingsley, we know how things operate in Cameroon, that there are ministers who would not really be submissive to the Prime Minister because, according to them,
the President,
almost all of them, yes, they are all appointed by the President of the Republic,
on recommendation of the Prime Minister. They forget sometimes, you know that.
Yeah, on recommendations. But when you look at the way they are all appointed, the Prime Minister is appointed and few minutes after the ministers are appointed. So you would want to ask when the Prime Minister actually, when the Prime Minister was consulted. So that is the problem. But it is not news. It is not news in Cameroon that someone is appointed as Secretary General and then another is elected and the appointed official does not respect the elected official. Because almost everybody will tell you that Cameroon c'est un pays des réseaux. It depends on your connection with the presidency, and you would want to think that because you are very connected to the presidency, you would want to undermine your immediate boss, because whether we like it or not, the President of the National Assembly is the boss of the Secretary General, of almost everybody who is working at the National Assembly. We had this same issue with Elekam, remember? Yes, there was
the
a serious
Director General
and the board president.
Yes,
we saw this where the Director General would expressly disrespect the board chair. Why? Because to him he has connections, and those connections are all tied to the presidency. So I don't think it is news.
Yeah, Kum Leonard, the president of the local organizing committee of the AFCON 2021, Professor Narcisse Mwele Kombi, issued a document that was over on Friday, talking about measures that have been taken to step up security and curb what happened at the Olembe Sports Complex in Yaoundé. Many people have described the move as selling after the market, when we know that the AFCON is ending in a week's time.
They say better late than never. Eh? Yes, better late than never. At times when you are given a responsibility to organize an event like what Cameroon is hosting, and the context of our organizing this AFCON is somewhat complicated. This is the first AFCON.
We are the first country with 24 teams. 24
teams, and then the context of COVID-19, and then the pressure, the intense international, African, and local pressure on this, because almost nobody actually believes in the ability for Cameroon to deliver, judging by the projects that we have had to realize in Cameroon, it's been difficult to deliver, and almost everybody wants to scrutinize the slightest of things that accompany the organization of the Nations Cup. So it's somewhat complicated. You have to look at this, you have to look at this, you have to look at this, and it is just normal that certain aspects will not be handled when we expect them to be handled. But if it came even late, we should also understand that we cannot be 100% perfect. But those are the errors that we make and we learn from to perfect. We still have a week to see how to right the wrongs that we have observed this one.
Let's talk about this press launch that was issued recently by the founder and the CEO of Togo Army Movement. Sometimes you had them on your platform, and they are telling us that they are going to give the vision a global value. Mabel Boma, who also, of course, is the founder of the said movement, made it known recently as he addressed journalists in Cameroon. He says the Togo will be launched in Cameroon next year, June.
Yeah, it's going to be launched in Cameroon in June. It was launched in the United States of America, I'm sure, some months back. I think it is
it's a force of national unity, according to
it is a laudable initiative that we can recognize what is Cameroonian, what is unique, and what is admired across the globe from Cameroon, and try to valorize it, because I'm sure that is what they are struggling to do. Very great initiative. If we can consume and admire what others are doing, there is something unique about Cameroon that we can also identify, celebrate, add value to it, and also sell out to the world. I think that is what maybe Boma is trying to do, and I salute her initiative, I salute her commitment, and we hope that she succeeds, because it is very, at times it's easy to start, but what is most important is how to be consistent, sustaining the project to finality. We all would want to believe that Cameroonians, as a people, should promote what she's doing. And also, I think it is a wake-up call for Cameroonians to love who they are, to love what they possess as qualities, because there's a lot beyond what she's doing that Cameroon can valorize and sell to the world.
Ok, thank you, ça. On va parler un peu d'économie. On a des entreprises telles que Camwater, la Sonara et Camtel qui sont placées dans les top listes des entreprises très endettées au Cameroun au jour d'aujourd'hui. Et on se pose véritablement la question de savoir comment est-ce possible.
When the National Hydrocarbon is telling us it's making billions as in profits.
C'est très possible, hein? C'est très possible. Et je ne sais même pas pourquoi on était étonné d'apprendre cela. Parce que
with all the money Camtel makes?
No.
Camwater.
Camwater?
No, Gwladys, it's very possible.
Okay.
It's very possible. What happens is you have individuals who are given they may be given $1 million. They are paid $1 million francs a month.
Yeah.
And by the
job done.
Yeah.
No, there are people who are working in Cameroon who earn $1 million, $2 million, $3 million. By the time they get to the end of the month, the money is completely wasted.
Wow.
Relate that to our state corporations. What matters is our management capacity. If you cannot manage, if you are not disciplined, if you don't have the structures that can block leakages across the departments of an institution, what do you expect? Take, for example, we are working here at My Media Prime TV. We have lights all over here. And at times, in your office, I'm the one who turns off the lights. I'm the one who turns off the AC and the light.
Tell you
those are leakages.
We are wasting.
Transpose this to all of this. The resources are made available. People pay the monies to them. But if you cannot manage, it's an issue of management. it is easy to say, oh, with all the billions they make. But if you have billions and you cannot manage, if everybody has to steal, if everybody has to waste, because it's also about wasting the resources, and it's also about the capacity. Why should Camtel today be where it is when MTN, Orange, Nextel, and other private
telecoms company,
communication companies also delivering the same services while they are making billions? It tells you that it is not an issue of the resources. The resources are there. But do you have the capacity to manage? Do you have the capacity to turn things around to be at the level, the standards of the world? Because we are talking about providing services. Camtel is providing services. Yeah. Camwater is providing services. But if
sometimes the waters that run in our taps are nothing to write home about.
That's it. So if almost every home today is using mineral water to drink because you cannot provide what the standards, who do you blame for that? So it's easy to say, how possible?
They have become so indebted.
You understand? Yes.
But thank you. Thank you, Kum Leonard, for coming. Our time is up. Thank you so much for giving us a rare opportunity to have you on our platform for the very first time. Hope some other time you make out time to come and share with us your opinion on certain burning issues in the country.
Yes, I will always be glad to be here. Thank you too.
Thank you for coming. Thank you to televiewers of My Media Prime for watching the very first edition of the program for the week, which was produced by Christain Tebong. We were Bomotonguina, Gwladys, and myself, Lasha. Bye-bye.